Hello, welcome to Tim Anderson Horse Training. Today I'm going to be working ReyRey. You probably remember her from some of the other videos that I've done. She has since gone home and she's been ridden by her owner, and she came back for a little bit of a tune-up with her spin. Her owner is having trouble getting her to spin, mainly to the right. I think it has to do with the direction the owner is pulling, which we're working on that. That's a whole separate thing. But now that we've got him pulling a little bit better direction, it's time to get her back spinning correctly both directions. I've got a calf back here that I just weaned. If you hear a calf calling in the background, that's what it is. He's not too happy. But we'll get started with her. The first thing I want to point out is I have a snaffle bit on her, a plain smooth mouth ring snaffle. Even though I have shown this horse in a bridle with ramels one-handed and everything, because what we're tuning up goes all the way back to beginner basics, I'm taking her headgear all the way back to beginner basics. Anytime that I'm tuning something up, I'm going to put the bridle on that was used when I was originally teaching the horse whatever I'm tuning up. So she was originally taught to spin in a snaffle bit, and I'm going to go back to a snaffle bit to tune up the maneuver that we're working on. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to walk around just a little bit, and in the process I want to make sure that she is giving her head to the bit laterally, right there, a little bit of resistance there. If you have a horse that you're teaching the spin, this is going to apply to you, because I'm going to be doing the same basic things that I did when I originally taught the spin. Basically all the tune-up is you go back and reteach the beginning basics. Go back and remake that foundation solid again. So I want to make sure she gives her head to the bit. See how I went to pull, her head went up. Make sure I get her soft. And all I'm doing is taking my hand and I'm just running it down the rein. I'm giving a little bit of spur with the same side that I'm pointing her nose. So right leg, right spur, there we go. Just get it a little bit softer. Get her responding to that rein. There we go. Now her head is starting to relax. I just got on her. She's totally fresh. I got on her and walked over here and started talking. So this is right out of the stall. My warm-up exercise that I do later on the horses is the same as my original training. So I don't do any special warm-up. We go right into teaching what we want to be teaching, what the horse needs to know. Walk a little more forward, a little more forward. There we go. A little more forward. Now she's starting to soften. I want to make sure I get a forward movement, because a spin is a forward movement, and I want to make sure that I get a soft face when I ask the nose to tip to the side. There we go, getting better. Let's go ahead and change directions. We'll walk the other way. Do the same thing, just point her nose, ask her to go forward. Now I can feel, I'm not sure how much you can see in the video, but I can feel going this direction. She's just naturally wanting to go that way. Her brain is locked into this circle. And since her brain is locked into the circle, she is wanting to go in the circle physically. Remember, I've talked about in the past, when you're training a horse, 50% of it is mental, 50% of it is physical. So she is mentally thinking go that way, and because she's mentally thinking go that way, she's automatically physically starting to go that way just because she's thinking about it. Let's go back the other way. I'd like to get her more thinking about going to the right. There we go. She's softening. She's still not thinking right as much as I would like, but we're getting there. forward, forward, forward. Gotta have forward. There we go. Now I'm going to start, instead of pulling this hand this way, I'm going to start lifting a little bit. Lift and forward with my legs. Lift and forward. There we go. I need a little more forward. Now you notice I'm not really doing a whole lot with my outside rein. It's there. It's not really doing anything. I don't have a big droop of slack. I don't have a lot of contact. I'm fixing to start using that outside rein. And this is a good situation to talk about how to teach a horse to neck rein, because this is exactly how I teach a horse to neck rein. I get the horse thinking about going in a direction with the inside rein, and then I take the outside rein and I steer the horse around. So now I'm going to take the outside rein, lay it across the horse's neck, and walk forward again. Good girl. That was pretty good. I think the biggest part of this tune-up that she needs isn't so much physical. She knows how to spin. It's mental, I think, because the rider was pulling back a little bit. I think she was just confused. So in this tune-up, I'm not really fixing physically the spin. She's really occupied with them cows calling. I'm not fixing the physical spin very much. She knows how to spin. I'm fixing her mental aspect. I'm fixing the fact that she was confused about the cues that were being used to ask her to spin. So let's just ask for that again. Her head is soft to the inside. Take my outside rein, lay a little neck rein on. Open my inside. Whoop, that was a little bit backwards. Let's go back forward again. Took that step back. I don't want that to happen. I want her to go forward. So I'm just going to kind of bump on her a little bit. Reminder, forward, forward. Bumping with my legs, forward, forward. There we go. Now let's ask again. I'm giving her a little push with my left leg. It'll be my outside leg to keep encouraging her forward. One of the things, this is a good time to talk about your leg use and your spin. I see a lot of people that's constantly bumping with that outside leg to get the horse to keep spinning. If you do that, what's going to happen is the horse is going to start giving off of that bump, and it's going to be inverting his body, and you're either going to mess up his body frame to spin, or the horse is going to start taking his cue for the spin as far as speed off of that leg. And to go faster, let's say you're showing reining and you want to get better scores, so you want to spin faster, you start kicking faster. That's not going to be willfully guided like the rule book says, so you're actually not going to get better scores. So the last thing you want to do is be constantly kicking to get your horse to keep spinning. Once you ask your horse to spin, he should spin until you tell him to do something different. Now, I will usually give about 1 cluck per spin just to tell him to keep going. And then the rotation before I ask for the stop, I don't give them a cluck. I do that more as a preparation for the stop, to get a good stop from the spin. I don't do that as much to control their speed. So now let's do that again. Ask her to step around to the right. Notice where my legs are. Keep going, girl. Good girl. I want her to spin and continue to spin without any leg contact. I can add some leg contact. I can add a push to speed her up. I can add a push to get her to shift back on her back end. Now let's talk about where I would add that push. So what's happening in this situation is the back end is staying relatively still, the front end is stepping around. There's two places that I could push with my leg. I could either push up near the girth, or I could push back here by the hip, by the back girth. What I do, I want the horse to move laterally off the neck rein. I don't really use anything up here by the girth to tell the horse to go. I might push once when I'm first starting to spin, say, hey, move your shoulders over. I don't do much other pushing up here by the girth. What I will do is I'll slide my leg back and I'll push back here in the hip. Think about the other things that you use that cue for back in the hip. You're going to use it for your lope departures to shift the hip over and engage the hip. And what I want when I'm asking the horse to spin harder, a faster spin does not come from the front end. A faster spin comes from the back end. It comes from the horse shifting his butt over and engaging and pushing. So when I want the horse to spin faster, I'm going to slide my outside leg back and I'm going to push in the hip. And I've done it a couple times right here just walking, and you'll see she even walks a step or two faster. So I'm going to ask her to step around again. Yep. You notice I push. It's hard for me to talk when I'm spinning. She's looking for that stop word. If I want her to spin faster, I'm going to push in the hip. Let's do that again and watch my outside leg. I'll push when I'm facing the camera. I'm not going to say anything. She's looking for that stop word, and when I talk, it kind of messes her up. Good girl. All right, so we're going to work the same thing to the left just a little bit. Normally when I'm working anything, any maneuver with any horse, I'm going to work the worser side first, the worser direction, whichever it is. Then I'm going to work the better direction, and then I'll go back and work the worser direction again. That way I'm working the worser one twice, but I'm still reinforcing the good behavior, the good direction once. Anyway, I've noticed, before I started that, I would really concentrate on whatever the worser direction was, and then before I started doing that, before I started working the worser direction, then the better direction, then the worse direction, I would really concentrate on that worse direction and almost forget about the work in the other direction because I was so concentrated on that one direction. And then what I found out is I wasn't keeping progress going in that better direction. So I created this habit. This is what I do. I work the worser direction, then the better direction, then the worse direction again. And sometimes, like today, it's right, left, right. In a few days, it might be left, right, left. And by doing that, I'm always making both directions better. All right, let's step around to the left again. Good girl. If you notice, I'm not really asking for a lot of speed. I know if mentally she is in the right place to speed up, I know she will. Because I'm tuning this up. I know the spin is there. I'm fixing her mental aspect of the spin. So I want her to go back to having good habits, have her mind in a good mental place for the maneuver that I'm asking for. I'm not going to ask for a whole bunch of speed. I just want her to step around correct with a little bit of rhythm. Let's do the left one more time, and then we'll go back to the right again. Now, a time or two in there, she really set back a little bit further than she should have. Got a little bit too far back on her back end and lost a little bit of rhythm in the front. So when she did that, I pushed with my outside leg just a little bit, just to get her to engage and push with that back end and not sit back so far. That's the kind of thing that I was talking about. You have, even though that's her better direction, you still have to work the better direction. You can't forget about that and work on the less than better direction. I don't like saying the worst direction, the less than better direction. How about that? Another thing I want to mention, I don't have splint boots or bell boots on her, and that's intentional. It would be different if I had a young horse that I was teaching to spin and I did not want them to step on themselves and it hurt and them decide that they don't want to spin. She knows how to spin. Remember, this is a tune-up. So if she's not using her feet correctly, I want her to say, oh, that wasn't very comfortable. Let me do it correctly. Let me fix it. Let me do it right. Because she knows what right is. We're not doing anything hard enough that she's going to physically hurt herself, like pounding the ground too hard or anything like that. We're not going to do anything that's going to hurt herself. But if she's being lazy with how she uses her front feet, I want her to pay a little bit of a price for that. I want her to say, oh, I need to put a little more effort into this, because she knows what is correct. It'd be different if she did not know. That's the point I want to make. It'd be different if she did not know what correct was, but she does. So let's ask for another spin. See how she's getting slower and slower? She knows it's time. Like, wait, let's I know it's coming. All right, let's ask again. She left. Good girl. Her balance front to back isn't quite what it needs to be there, and I think that goes back to being ridden by a rider that was kind of pulling back a little bit too far. It's upset her balance. That is the physical part of the spin that needs to be tuned up. The mental part is confusion, because she has been pulled back too far, and she's like, well, I can't spin that way. That puts my body in the incorrect position. The physical part is rocking back a little too far. So when she rocks back a little too far, I'm just going to kind of squeeze her a little bit forward. We might even walk out of it. We might even walk forward in a spin. It's not what I want my end product to be, but I will shift her forward if she's shifting back too much. I'll step around again. Right there, she went forward actually that time. There we go, good girl. And see right there, She gave me a few steps with a little bit of rhythm and a little bit of speed. I walked her out there. I want to reward that rhythm and a little bit of speed by walking out, and letting her know, yes, that is what I want, that is the correct answer. Good girl, and reward that maneuver. And that's really how you build speed. I'm not going to kick to build faster speed. I might ask her to engage and put a little effort, but that's not how you build real fast spins. You build real fast spins by rewarding a couple of steps with extra effort. She's going to realize that if I just put a few more steps and work a little bit harder, just a few steps, I'll let her walk out. And that's how you build speed. So if you have a horse that you're having trouble with the spin, this should help you. If you have a horse that you need to work on the neck rein a little bit, it's the exact same thing. Your neck rein is just like the spin. There's no difference. So if you're working on your neck rein, this is going to help you. So that's ReyRey. She's her tune-up is coming along nice. Little bitty things that need to be improved still. And I'm sure you'll see a lot more of her in future videos. So until next time, thank you for watching.